Oh, so I'm going to share my MathLab screen. First four problems are pretty much dealing with graphing. So this number one, let me see what y'all say. Y'all, they want to know if number one is odd, even, or neither, looking at this graph. And I'll make the graph a little bit larger. So remember, even, it'd be symmetric to the y-axis. Odd, it'll be symmetric to the origin. Also, you can see how many times it's touching the x-axis. So this one's touching the x-axis twice. So that's even. It's also symmetric to the y-axis. So y'all, this one's definitely going to be an even function. So then we go to our next one. All right, so how can this graph be obtained from one of the basic graphs? G of x equals x plus 2 squared minus 4. So remember, inside the parentheses, adding moves me left, subtracting moves me right. And then at the end, if it's positive, I move up, negative, I move down. So the x plus 2 is inside the parentheses. So you're going to come down here. And since that's got an exponent of 2 on it, we're going to start with the x squared graph. So we'll put in our x squared is the basic graph. And then shift it blank 2 units. Well, since they're adding 2 inside the parentheses, that's going to move us left. And then at the end, minus 4. So that's the vertical shift. And when it's negative, it's going to move it down 4 units. So we would click down. So the plus 2 move me left 2, minus 4 move me down 4. So then we'll graph this. So remember, you're going to grab the U-shaped x squared tool, click anywhere on the graph. And then you're going to come down here and do the vertical shift and the horizontal. So my horizontal went left 2, so I'm going to pull that over to negative 2. So it moved my graph left. And then minus 4 was my vertical, so that's going to bring me down 4. So y'all, let's see, I didn't move far enough. All right, there's down 4. So put in the moves, the basic graph, and then come on the graph and actually plot the graph using the vertical and horizontal shifter. All right, y'all, so you save that. We go to number 3. So once again, describe how the graph can be obtained from the basic graph. They're giving us f of x equals square root x minus 7. Now they're telling us we're going to start with g of x equals square root of x, and then we're going to shift it blank units. So that x minus 7, since it's under the radical, we would treat it like it was in parentheses. And since they're subtracting 7, that's going to move it right, those 7 units. So subtracting under the radical moves it right. So we click right. And then we actually got to put in our 7 units. Now I'm looking at A, B, C, and D. Which graph looks like it went to the right? Because remember, the basic graphs always start right in the origin. So y'all, A went up, it looks like. B went down. C went to the right like we needed. So I'm going to click C. And then it looks like D went left on us. So we would pick C on that one and then move on to the next. All right, y'all, let me write this one down. So this is number 4. They're giving me f of r equals r squared plus 10r plus 24. So I'm going to work that one, then I'll come back to the graph, okay? So I'm going to go to my pad. All right, y'all. So f of r equals r squared plus 10r plus 24. They want me to find the zeros. So we're going to find the zeros by setting this equal to 0. Now, two ways to do this. One, I'm going to solve it by factoring. But the other choice you have, you could use the quad formula if you want to. But all y'all's number 4s are going to be able to be factored pretty quick. So the r squared will be an r and an r. The last sign's positive, so both of these factors will be positive like the middle. And what I'm looking for, y'all, I'm looking for factors of 24 here. I need factors of 24 that'll add to get me a 10.
6 and 4.
So 6 and 4. All right, so we got it factored. Now to finish it out, we take both our factors and set them equal to 0. And then, y'all, we're just going to solve this by solving for each of those r's. So basically, I'm going to subtract 6 on the first one. I get r's a -6. And then I'll subtract 4 on the second one and get r's a -4. Now, we're not going to put these answers in parentheses like we did when we did the x and y's and stuff, because these are both r's. So what we'll do, we're just going to put them in the answer blank and just put a comma in between them. So come up here to the answer, and you're just going to put in your -6, comma, -4. We only use the parentheses on answers when we're dealing with systems of equations. All right, y'all, so -6, -4, then we hit next. I'm just going to make this one a little larger. So this one wants the x-intercepts and then the solutions. Well, basically, they're giving me the 2 x-intercepts on that graph. But y'all remember, x-intercepts got to look like an ordered pair. So it looks like my first x-intercept here, where I'm putting my cursor, is at -1 on the x-axis. So that'll be -1, comma, 0. So the x-intercepts always have a 0 for the y value. Now the second intercept looks like it's at 5. So that will be 5, comma, 0. Close the parentheses. Now this one, we just wanted y'all to realize that the x-intercepts, those x values are the solutions. So on this one, we don't have to use ordered pairs. We just got to put the solutions, which will be the -1, comma, 5. So if I was wanting to find my zeros without having to solve it by hand, I could look at the graph and see where it's crossing that x-axis at, okay? All right, so these two I'm going to do on my pad here. So let's see, this will be what, number 5? No, y'all, this is number 6, my bad. We just did 5. So number 6, on this one, a wire is stretched from the ground to the top of an antenna tower. The wire is 25 feet long. Then it tells me the height of the tower. So the height of the tower is 5 feet greater than the distance D from the tower's base to the end of the wire. Okay, so I'm definitely going to draw me a picture here. So I've got this tower here. And they're telling me they're stretching the wire from the top of this tower down to the ground. Now, I do know that this wire is 25 feet long. So, y'all, then they say, well, hey, this height of this tower over here is 5 feet greater than this distance D from the tower's base to the end of the wire. So from the tower's base to the end of the wire here, they're calling this D. We don't know that distance, but they're calling it D. So now we got to figure out what can we call the side that has the height of the tower. Well, y'all, since that's 5 feet greater than this distance, this side will be D plus 5. So we want you to realize that we got a right triangle here with a 90-degree angle. And we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to solve this. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now, it don't matter what A and B are down here, but C has to be the longest side over here. Your hypotenuse is always going to be the C, and then I'll just let this be A and B. So I'm going to plug everything in. A is D, so that's going to give me D squared. Plus B is D plus 5 squared. That's going to equal C squared, which is 25 squared. All right, so let's square everything that we can. Can't do nothing to the D squared, so I'm bringing that down. This D plus 5 squared, I'm going to work on the side real quick. That'll equal D plus 5 times D plus 5. So pulling that out, D times D is D squared. D times 5 is 5D. 5 times D is 5D. And then 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to add my like terms, so I get a D squared plus 10D plus 25. So I'm going to replace D plus 5 squared with this. So I'll have D squared plus 10D plus 25. And y'all over here, 25 squared is 625. So on this side, first thing I'm going to do, I got like terms. I'm going to add them together. So 1D squared plus 1D squared gives me 2D squared plus 10D plus 25 equals 625. And y'all, what we're thinking now is this thing's quadratic because it's got these D squared terms in it. So to solve quadratics, we need a 0 on this side. So we need to subtract that 625 from both sides, so that you get a 2D squared plus 10D. 25 minus 625 will give me negative 600, all equal to 0. Now, y'all, I showed y'all a trick that could make these numbers a little bit smaller. Do y'all remember what I did to this to make these numbers a little bit smaller? Well, all these are even numbers. So since they're all even, I'm going to come in and divide everybody by 2. So if you got equations and there's a number they'll all divide by, do that, because now you get a d squared plus 5d minus 300 equals 0. So y'all, we got two choices. We can try to factor that, or we can use the quadratic formula. I'm still going to factor it because to me, factoring is a little easier than doing the quadratic. So that d squared will be a d and a d. Now y'all be careful. The last sign is negative. Whenever that last sign is negative, one factor will be positive, one factor will be negative. Now what we got to do, since that's minus, I got to find two factors of 300 that'll subtract and give me a 5. So y'all remember I showed y'all a trick on the calculator, so I'm going to bring up my calculator and find all these factors of 300, and I'm going to find the ones that'll give me a 5. So let's go to the calculator. So you go to y equals, and since I want factors of 300, I'm going to go 300 divided by x. This will divide that 300 by all the factors going in order from the x starting at 1 and so on. Now, I don't want to look at the graph. I want to look at the table. So y'all, 0 ain't a factor, so that's why you're getting the error there. 1's a factor in 300. 2 and 150. None of those are giving me a 5 yet. 3 and 100 not working. 4 and 75 don't give me a 5. 5 and 60. 6 and 50. So I'm just going to keep on going. That's a decimal, don't want it. That's a decimal, don't want it. Decimal, don't want it. 10 and 30. So I'm getting closer. That's a 20. Decimal, don't want that. 12 and 25, that still got 13 on it. Decimal, don't want that. Decimal. 15 and 20. Y'all look at that. 15 and 20 have a difference of 5. So the numbers we want are going to be 20 and 15. So now let's go back to our pad. Remember, the larger of these factors will be positive like the middle. So make the 20 positive at this point, and the 15 your negative. So now we got it factored. We're going to set each of these factors equal to 0 and solve for d. Well, the first one will subtract 20. So I get d is a negative 20. The second one, I'll add the 15 and get d is a positive 15. So the question, y'all, what is the length of d? Which one of these two answers are y'all picking?
15.
15, because we can't have a negative distance, y'all. So d is going to be 15, which means how tall is my tower? So here's my
20.
tower. So 20, because you got 15 for d. 15 plus 5 will give us 20 for our tower. All right, so this one, you just got to set it up. And y'all's will be really similar. The only differences will be the length of your wire and then how much further is the tower than the distance d. So that 5 might be different in that 25, but that's pretty much it on that, okay? Y'all's just going to work the same as mine. You'll be able to divide by 2 to make your numbers smaller and then factor it. Or if you prefer, at that point, you could have did your quadratic formula. All right, y'all, so that was the wire. Now we get to do the ladder leaning on the wall. So number 7 says, the foot of an extension ladder is 5 feet from a wall. So foot of ladder, 5 feet from the wall. All right, y'all, then they tell us, hey, the height the ladder reaches on the wall. So the height ladder reaches on wall. And the length of the ladder are consecutive integers. Oh, then they say, hey, the length of the ladder is blank. So find the length of the ladder. So they don't care how far it is up on the wall. All they want to know is how long is this ladder? So y'all, here we go. We got a wall here. And we got a ladder leaning up against it. Now, the only thing I know at the moment is this distance here. The distance from the foot of my ladder from the wall is 5 feet. Now, the height the ladder reaches on the wall and the length of the ladder, they said, are consecutive integers. So that means if the height it reaches on the wall is x, consecutive integers means that this length will be x plus 1. Y'all's is going to look exactly the same other than that 5 down here, okay? And y'all, once again, I got a right triangle. So I'm going to use my a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The longest side over here, x plus 1, has to be c no matter what. And then this will be a and b. So a is 5. So I got 5 squared plus b, which is x. That'll be x squared. It's going to equal c, which is x plus 1 squared. All right, y'all. So square root of 5, you're going to get 5 times 5 is 25. Can't do nothing with the x squared at the moment. But this, I'm going to figure out on my side again. X plus 1 squared. So write that twice and FOIL. All right, y'all. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is 1x. 1 times x is 1x. And then 1 times 1 is 1. And then once again, add like terms. So you get your x squared. 1x plus 1x is 2x. And then plus my 1. So the right side becomes x squared plus 2x plus 1. So all these x squared terms at the moment. So all these x squared terms mean we need to try to get everything on one side equal to 0. So I'm going to try to move the x squareds. But y'all, when you try to move the x squareds, guess what? They're going to cancel on both sides. All the x squareds are now gone. So I just got a 25 left on this side. All that's left over here is a 2x plus 1. So since it's not quadratic anymore, I don't got to worry about factoring. I don't have to worry about using the quadratic formula. All I got to do is solve that for the x. So we'll come in and subtract 1 from both sides. I get 24 equals 2x. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2.
What's your name?
Say again?
I think that was somebody kid, Mr. Eugene.
Oh, okay. Sound like they said, what's your name or something. All right, so that's going to give me 12 equal to my x. So, question is, how long is my ladder?
13.
13.
13. There you go. So y'all don't forget to come in and add that 1 and get that ladder at 13, okay? All right, y'all, so let me go back to the 8 is another graph, so let me go back to the math lab. Now, y'all, this one, you'll actually see this one on the final exam also. They love that ladder one on that final, okay? All right, so I need to get to number 8 now. All right, y'all, let me make this a little larger for us so y'all can see that point. And let me zoom it up just a little. So they're giving us the parameter. Don't worry about what it's saying up here about the a, x minus h squared. We don't need all that. They got this vertex point listed for us. In parentheses, they got 2, -2. That is the vertex, and that's the first thing they want to know. So we come in and put that in first. We had 2, -2. Then y'all are giving us that vertex point, so write that in there. Now, the axis of symmetry is equal to the x value of that. But remember, it says type an equation. So you got to go x equals. All right, y'all, the x value on that is
2.
2. Okay. I just make y'all do that because sometimes people put the y values, okay? So remember, it's always the x and then the y. And then the minimum or maximum is equal to the y value. So y'all, what's that? A -2. So this one, we're giving you the vertex. Write that in the first answer in parentheses. Then remember, the axis of symmetry is x equals the x value. And then they didn't care whether it was a min or max. They just wanted to know the value of it, which was that -2. All right, y'all, so let's go to next. And this is true or false for y'all. Determine if this is true or false. The graph of h of x equals x minus 2 squared can be obtained by translating the graph of x squared left 2 units. So when I'm inside the parentheses attacking that x, does subtracting 2 move me left or does it move me right?
Right.
So y'all, that's definitely going to be a false then. Good job. All right, so the next few I'm going to do on my pad again. So let's see. I'll only come back to here if we got more graphing to do, okay? So let me get my paper turned over. Now, the one while ago, I gave us the vertex on the graph. On this problem number 10, we're actually going to find the vertex. Determine if there's a maximum or max or min value. And find the value. So find min or max and then find that value. Then find the range. And then increasing and decreasing intervals. Now, they don't give us a graph on this, so all they gave us was f of x equals x squared plus 8x plus 7. But I will probably sketch me a little graph just as showing where my vertex is, and I'll probably just draw a parameter by the vertex. Because it helps on these problems with increasing, decreasing in the range if you're actually looking at the little graph of it, okay? So first, I'm going to find the vertex. So the vertex, I'll use my formula, negative b over 2a, f of negative b over 2a for the y. Now remember, the vertex has to look like an ordered pair when we put it in. So I'm going to find the x value first by negative b over 2a. So that'll be a negative, b is 8, so that'll be a negative 8 over 2 times a, which is 1. So remember, a is 1, b is 8, c would be 7. All right, y'all, that's going to give me negative 8 over 2, which will give me a negative 4. So I do know that the x value of this vertex is now negative 4. So I'm going to find my y value by finding f of that negative 4. So we just put this negative 4 back into this function and see what we get. So we'll have negative 4 squared plus 8 times negative 4 plus 7. All right, this has to end up positive. Any number you square will come out positive. So negative 4 times negative 4 is a positive 16. Minus 8 times 4 is 32. And then plus my 7. All right, y'all. 16 minus 32 is a negative 16. Negative 16 plus 7 is going to give me a negative 9. So I now know that my vertex is negative 4 for the x, negative 9 for the y value. So y'all, let me just come over here and sort of estimate where that would be. So negative 4, negative 9 is down here. So we need to know if my parabola needs to face up or face down. Well, since this first number is a positive 1, remember, if it's positive, it's going to look like a U. So my parabola is just going to shoot up. Okay. Now remember, this point right here is negative 4, negative 9. Now, if that would have been a negative x squared, I'd have flipped it over and made that a maximum instead of a minimum. All right, so max or minimum? Well, y'all, we definitely got a minimum. And the minimum value is the y value, which is negative 9. So once you choose max or min, it'll ask you for the value. So that takes care of the vertex, max or min value, the range. The range is the y values that's represented by this graph. So the smallest y value is going to be this minimum y value of negative 9. So your range has to be in brackets on the y value that's a number. So y'all, the minimum y value was negative 9 here. And the y values head up and up towards positive infinity. Now let me say this. If you would have had a maximum, the maximum would have started at negative infinity and then would have went up to what your number was with the bracket. Okay, so minimums start at the number, go to infinity. Maximums would start at negative infinity and go to the number. All right, y'all, increasing. The right side of my parabola is increasing. And remember, increasing and decreasing, always use parentheses. So what I need to know is, what x value does this graph start increasing and off to where? So basically, I need to know this x value, and it increases to the right. So that'll be from -4. Because remember, x values are on the increase and decreasing, y values on the range. So y'all at -4, this starts increasing as I head toward the right, towards positive infinity. So do y'all want to try this side that's decreasing? From where to where is this graph decreasing?
Negative infinity to -4.
Negative infinity to -4. Perfect. Okay, and we don't have to graph that one, thank God. All we just had to do is answer all the questions. Vertex has to be as an ordered pair. Choose min or max and then the value. Range, the number always has a bracket on the range. And then remember, increasing, decreasing, everything has curved parentheses. All right, y'all. So the last thing that deals with the vertex is pretty much this other word problem. A toy rocket is shot vertically into the air from a launching pad 6 feet above the ground. Initial velocity 160 feet per second. Now they're telling me the height h in feet of the rocket above the ground at t seconds after launch is given by the function. And this is really all you need. The h of t equals a -16 t squared plus 160 t plus 6. So basically, I'm going to find the vertex because this rocket's going to, as it goes through time, it's going to increase and then it's going to come back down. So we're looking for that vertex point. So y'all, the x value is going to give us the time it took. The y value is going to give us the maximum height. Okay, so the time, which is our t variable, which represents time, and then h of t is the height, which will be our y value, okay? So we got to do the vertex to it. So -b over 2a, and then f of -b over 2a. So let's get the x value, remember, and the x value is going to give me how long it took to get to the maximum height. So -b over 2a is going to equal -160 over 2 times -16. And y'all, these two negatives are going to end up making this positive, which is what I need, a positive time out of this. So I'm going to get -160 over -32. Any of y'all got a calculator real quick? I know this will be positive because of two negatives. What was 160 divided by 32?
You want it with the negative signs? 5.
So you got a 5. Good job. So that tells me it took it 5 seconds to reach that maximum height. Now to find that maximum height, we put 5 back into the equation, and we're going to find the height after 5 seconds. That'll be -16 times 5 squared plus 160 times 5 plus 6. All right, y'all, so I'm going to go to the calculator and punch this in on it. So let me share that calculator. So I'm going to quit the graph. All right, so we had -16. And in parentheses 5 and square that plus 160 times 5 and then plus 6. All right, so I got it all punched in. I'm going to hit enter. and I get 406. So that means that the time it took to reach max height equaled 5 seconds. And they'll give you the seconds. All you got to do is put in the 5. And then the maximum height it reached equaled blank feet. And let's see, mine went 406 feet. Okay, so all your seconds should be somewhere between probably 2 and 10 at the most. And then your rocket hopefully is going, most of these I've done have been anywhere from 150 on up. All right, y'all, number 12, find the domain. Now, for 12, they're giving me f of x equals the square root 4x plus 1. All right, so when we're talking about the domain of a radical, this 4x plus 1 under the radical has to be greater than or equal to 0. So I'm just going to set it 4x plus 1 greater than or equal to 0. Now we're going to solve it for the x. So we'll start out by subtracting 1. So I get my 4x is greater than or equal to -1. Now this next step is where I'm getting a lot of mistakes. We're dividing this by +4. When we divide by positive numbers, we do not flip the inequality. It's going to stay greater than or equal, and then we divide the -1 by 4. We only reverse this if we divide these things by a negative number, okay? So y'all, that cancels. I get x greater than or equal to -1/4. So Math Lab will have x such that x is greater than or equal to a -1/4. But y'all, they'll put a less than or equal, making you think you had to flip it. They might put an equal here. Well, it can equal that, but it also has to be greater than that. And then they might put not equals there. So look for the one that has the right symbol for what you're doing, okay? All right, y'all. So now let's go back and I got a few graphs coming up. So I'm going to do 13 and 14 on the computer. So let me get this to 13 and 14. So graph the function f of x equals square root of x plus 3. Now remember, we did a problem a while ago about how this can be obtained from a basic graph. So y'all, if you're adding 3 under that radical, what's it going to do to my graph? Is it going to move it left, right, up, or down?
You said if it's a negative?
Oh, I couldn't hear that.
You said if it's a
It's
negative?
going left, you adding.
So since it's added, I'm going to go left.
Okay.
So we just got to figure out which graph looks like it went left. So there's A, looks like it went right. And they flipped it somehow. B went right. C looks like it went left. And then D looks like it went up. So the only one that looks like it went left, because remember, these graphs start in the very center. So the one that went left would be C on that one. Now you might have to zoom them up a little bit because sometimes they use really small numbers and it's hard to tell which way it moves. So zoom it in a little bit. But y'all, this is the only one that went left. So we would click that one. and then hit next.
So is it left of the origin?
Say again.
Is it the left of the origin?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I was like, A looks like it's going left.
Well,
But
they turned it and made it go to the left, but it's starting. If you look where it's starting, it's
yeah,
starting
it's
on
to
the
the
right.
right of the origin. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And we haven't done anything yet that'll make them flip directions like that. So, yeah, they're just trying to, oh, well, we're moving it right, but we're also going to flip it on you. So watch out for that, okay?
So that's because it's a plus sign underneath the radical
Yes.
sign?
Yes.
Okay.
If that would have been a minus, it would have went to the left. It would
It
have
did
looked
go
like,
to the
if that was a
I was like,
minus,
what?
if it was a minus, it would have went right like B.
Okay.
So you see how B moved right 3. If that was negative, it would move it right 3. But since it was positive, it moved it left 3 like my C here, okay?
Okay,
But we
thank
could
you.
also, but we could get the exact one by putting it in the y equals, right?
Oh, definitely. Let's do
Okay.
that. I mean, that's the quickest way, right?
Yeah.
Go to y equals. Hit the radical by hitting second x squared. And then what was mine? X plus 3. So put in your x plus 3 under the radical, and y'all hit graph. Now, the reason theirs looks tighter than mine, because remember, we're doing a 10 by 10 graph. I think they were showing us a 20 by 20 graph. But you can still tell that thing moved to the right, okay? And then how about doing that on this next one? Square root of 6x minus 9.
So it'll be going to the right.
Yes. Now watch it. It's not going to go 9 to the right because of that 6, but it will go to the right. So the only one that went to the right out of these pictures, let's see, what would y'all pick?
It's gonna be C.
It's going to be C. So y'all let me, now what happened, that 6 sort of stretches it up a little bit, makes it look taller. But yeah, on my calculator, I would go to my y equals and clear that. Second x squared, and then that was 6x minus 9. And then I would hit graph on that, y'all. And you can tell it went right, and it's sort of a little taller than it was on that basic graph. Now remember, we're doing 10 by 10. They're doing 10, but then they're only doing 5 tall. That's why theirs looks a lot taller, because their Y's are only going to 5 on that, okay? But look, A, they turned it around again. That can't be possible. B, they went left. And y'all did good, because when subtracting, moved it right.
So for those ones, we technically don't have to work out the problem.
No, I would just 13 and 14, I'd probably just throw them in my calculator and see what happens.
But I mean, like, we don't even have to do that if we just read the signs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because you can tell that straight line, there's no way it's going to be a straight line.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And just remember
Yeah,
that,
at this point, it just depends on if it's plus or minus.
yeah, if that was a 6x plus 9, it would have went to the left instead of to the right.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm not missing any steps. Like, if I
No,
have
you
to
got,
work it out.
y'all got that down. Y'all are doing good on that.
Okay.
So now this one, all they want to know is which of these 3 equations would I use to find f of 2? So I would use the x squared if my x is less than -3. I would use x minus 7 if my x is greater than or equal to -3 but less than 2. And then I'd use the 4x if my x is greater than or equal to 2.
You do
So
the
y'all,
4x.
A, B, or C?
A, 4x.
4x, so that'd be A. Good job. Because it's got that equal to 2 on it. So
Yeah.
yeah, they try to mess you up with the second one and the third one, but y'all got the equals down. Good job.
How do you know which one that it's looking for on that one?
So let's see if they give me another one. Nope, same one. So you see that they want me to find f of 2. So I got to see where the 2 fits in these 3 domains here. Is 2 less than -3? Well, that'd be false. Is 2 greater than -3, but less than 2? Well, 2 ain't less than 2. So then the last one says, is your 2 greater than or equal to 2? Well, since that says 2 can equal 2, I use that last equation 4x.
Yeah, so you throw the 2 in for the replacement of the x.
Exactly.
And then just read it that way.
Mm-hmm. And then you would use what of these 3 equations corresponded to which one you picked. So let me try something. Let me see if it'll let me check the answer. And then I wanted it to do me well, let me move up.
Do you have the show me option on yours? No. You don't have the show me how to do it.
No,
you
mine don't do all that. So
Yeah.
But let me just ask you, what if I wanted f of a -1? Which equation would y'all use for f of -1? Is -1 less than -3?
Yes.
No,
No.
No.
because it's to the right of the
Since it's to the right of
axis.
-3, it's going to be greater than that -3. Now, is -1 greater than -3, but yet smaller than 2?
Yes.
Yes. So since -1 would be in between -3 and 2
So you do
on
the
that
x
number
minus
line,
7.
you would use the x minus 7 equation for it.
The precise function of that's gonna really give me if that's like that on the test, because I don't know which one is asking for real. Like, do I find like, okay, I'm guessing all 3 of them are not beneficial to that. Then that must be what that is. Like
Right.
x
They're
minus
not
7.
right. It's sort of like I showed y'all with the pay. If you work up to 40 hours, you made regular pay. Anything for overtime.
I see what they did. They threw it off. Okay, they put the 2 up there. They put the question is actually up there versus last time when the question was at the bottom.
Right.
So okay, I see it. My bad.
Okay. All right, y'all. So this one's pretty much giving us everything we need for this on this drawing here. So I'll make it larger. They're giving me the vertex, -5.5, 2.25. So the first question, does this function have a maximum or minimum? What are y'all picking?
It has a maximum.
All right, so you're going to click maximum. And y'all, how you can tell is look at the right under it. It says the relative maximum occurs at blank. Okay? If it was minimum, it would actually say the relative minimum occurs at x equals blank at that point, okay? So, yeah, that's how I'm really quick. Now, it occurs at what x value?
-5.5.
And has what value?
2.25.
All right, so 2.25. All right, now we got to figure out where is this increasing? So increasing is going uphill, so it's coming in from the left and
So it's
increasing.
-infinity to -5.5.
Perfect. So that'd be D on that one. Because remember, increasing, decreasing only on the x's, like you said. So if that's increasing, where am I decreasing?
2.25 to infinity.
Oh, don't give me that y value.
Mhm. So it'll be a -5.5 to infinity.
Right. So if one ends at -5.5, the other one has to start at that -5.5, okay? So y'all only focused on those x's on those. So really, the only thing we had to know about the y value was this 2.25 up here where it did the relative maximum occurred at. -5.5 from my x, and then it had that y value of 2.25. All right, I should have another one of those. So let's see. Let me make this one larger. Now, this one has both on it. So the first thing they want to know, the relative maximum is what value at x equals what? Well, y'all, the maximum is that little peak right there, and they're giving you that point. So I need to know the value and then at what x it happens.
-6.
-1 and then -6.
Yeah.
So -1. See, this one they did backwards.
Oh, so it's backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, so y'all be
'Cause
watching that,
-6
okay?
is X.
Make sure
Yeah.
that where they had the x equals, you're putting that -6 there. And then it's got a relative minimum here on that other point. So what would y'all put there? Relative minimum is blank at x equals blank.
Negative 33 and then
33. Yeah.
And x equaled, what y'all say, 2?
2.
2. All righty. So now, on what intervals is that increasing? And y'all notice it's got 2 places it's going uphill. The first
So
little
it's
section.
-infinity to -6.
So -infinity to -6. So we got A and D. So you got to find that second part for me.
2
And
to
then it's
infinity.
2 to infinity.
So 2 to infinity.
So
And
it's
then you
A.
said, so that'd be alpha, right?
A.
A, there you go. So now let's pull this down. And we're going to see where is it decreasing. And that's that little middle section, y'all. So A, B, C, or D on my decreasing.
C.
So C, -6 to 2. Good job. Well, y'all do a lot better on these than y'all did on the first day I
Yeah.
brought these out. All righty, y'all. So this one is piecewise functions, but now you're going to have to pick out which equation you would use, and then we're going to have to plug them numbers in and get a single value out of this. So we're going to plug the numbers in to the equation we got to use. So let me write this down. H of x is going to be -5x minus 16 if our x's are less than a -4. It's going to equal 2 if -4 is less than or equal to the x less than 2. And then we'll use x plus 4 for any x's greater than or equal to 2. So they want me to find h of -10, h of a -2, h of a +2, and then h of 8. So I'm going to work that one on the pad for us. So let me go back to that. Now remember y'all, the number line, if zero's in the middle, the numbers get smaller to the left, and they're going to get greater to the right.
Mhm.
Okay. So the first one, h of -10.
34.
Would I use the first equation? Is -10 less than -4 true or
Yes.
false?
True.
It's true. So since remember, -10 will be way out here and -4 was right over here. So
Yeah.
it's definitely less than -4. So we use the first equation to figure out h of -10. So we're going to take the -5x minus 16. You're going to put a -10 in for that. All right, y'all, what are y'all getting on that? +50 minus 16.
34.
So 34. So MathLab wants a 34 in that blank. They don't want the equation you're using. They actually want to know the value. H of -2 was next. Is
2.
-2 less than -4?
No.
Is -2 in between a -4 and less than 2?
Yes.
Yes, because here's my -2. -4 was here. +2 is here. So it's definitely in between there. So y'all, what's the answer going to be?
2.
H of -2 equals?
2.
Yeah. Anything in that range is going to equal 2. Don't matter what the variable is. Notice there's not even a variable in the problem. So anything that's in between these numbers, you put down 2 as their answer and move on.
So there's nothing to plug in for that then?
No, because this is one of those
Yeah.
constant parts. So it just goes straight across, making a 2 for all the y values.
So no matter what, if that's what you're using, you just put that answer in.
Mhm.
Okay.
So if I got a negative, if I was finding h of -4, h of -3, h of -2, what's next?
Yeah.
H of -1, h of 0, and h of 1. All those I would put a 2 for their
Just
answer.
put that. Okay.
Okay. All right, h of +2. Well, we know it's not less than -4. Is 2 less than 2 true or false?
No.
So it's got to be greater than or equal to 2, which means we use the last equation. So we'll put a 2 in for that x, and we get what, a 2 plus 4,
6.
and that'll give us a 6. All right, then h of 8. All right, so y'all, 8 is not less than -4. 8's not less than a -2. So that means 8 has to be greater than or equal to 2, which means, again, we're going to use the last equation and put an 8 in for the x. And that'll be what, an 8 plus 4?
12.
And that'll be a 12. Okay, so find where your number fits over here, and then use whatever equation they're giving you. And remember, if they're giving you a single number here, that is the answer for the ones that had that range right here in the middle, okay? Alrighty, so on that one, y'all would come back and you'd have to put them in. What did we get? 34. That one, we got a 2. H of 2, we got a 6. And then H of 8, we said 12. So push in 4 answers in and hit next. Now, the last two we're dealing with the f of x plus h stuff. So let me see what 19 has. They're giving me f of x equals -5x plus 6. And they're giving us the formula f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. So y'all, let me go to my pad and work that. Alrighty, so remember our formula, x plus h minus f of x all over h. So we got to find f of x plus h. That's all that's missing for having what we need in our formula. So we'll come over here, find f of x plus h. We'll put that x plus h in for that x. So -5 times x plus h plus our 6. And remember, on this one, all you can do is distribute your -5. So we get -5x minus 5h plus 6. So no like terms. So that's going to be f of x plus h. So I'm going to put it in parentheses to start. Then we'll subtract f of x. I'm going to put that in parentheses. -5x plus 6. And remember all of that over h. And y'all remember my next step, I'm going to get rid of parentheses and distribute that subtraction. So you get -5x minus 5h plus 6. So what's coming next, y'all?
Plus 5x
Plus 5x. And then I heard it, but I couldn't hear you.
minus 6.
Minus 6.
And then you cancel them out.
And guess what? Everything that don't have a what is going to cancel.
Variable or an x or an h.
An h, there you go. Because the -5x canceled with the 5x. The 6 canceled with the -6. So we're left at this point with a -5h over h. Can
So
I
it's
go
-5.
further?
And
Yeah, it's -5.
Sorry.
So cancel them h's. And -5 is our final answer. So that is not bad. And you'll notice on 19, this answer always equals that number that was in front of that x, don't it?
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Do you
So
think it's gonna be that simple? Like, or is it gonna
well,
be like
your
squared?
19 will be that simple.
I think it's the next one that I had trouble. I'm gonna
Okay.
have trouble with.
It's the next one that y'all gotta have some fun
Where
with.
there's like squared and stuff? Yeah.
So let's see.
It's not bad, but yeah, yeah.
So let's see. I got it, and this is 20. F of x is going to equal 7x squared plus 7x plus 5. All right, y'all. So let's work this one out. So let me bring that back up. All righty. So once again, we're using our difference quotient. And y'all, I'll tell you
You
what.
started with this one. Can you flip back the paper to the other side real quick?
Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, y'all. So the fun part on this one is finding the f of x plus h. Once you find the f of x plus h, this problem's not bad, but it's finding that right there. Put an x plus h in for both x's. So 7 times x plus h squared plus 7 times x plus h, and then plus or 5. All right, y'all. So 7. So x plus h squared. Y'all wrote that down somewhere. So
Yeah,
what?
we already have that. Yeah.
So what does x plus h squared equal? Any of y'all got that handy?
I don't.
U
You
X
said what's the question?
H plus H squared. Is that right?
Well, I was wanting to know what x plus h squared equaled. Remember, we did
Oh, I know what it equals.
that. Okay.
Hold on. It equals hold on. Oh, I think I found it. Okay,
Is it X 3 X what's the third?
uh-uh.
Oh no, not that one. That's the cube.
No,
Oh, to the
it's x
second.
squared plus 2xh plus x squared plus 3.
Well, all that well.
Oh no, my bad. Plus 7 or 5,
So,
whichever
so
one
for
of those.
y'all, the x
That's the
plus
one
h
that I said.
squared. The x plus h squared is the x squared, 2hx, and h squared, okay? Yeah, you was already having it plugged into that problem you had a while ago. All right, 7x plus h plus 5. So that's the only tattoo you need for this one, is that right there. X squared plus 2hx plus h squared is going to replace that x plus h squared. Now let's distribute our 7. So 7x squared plus 7 times 2 is 14hx. 7 times h squared is a 7h squared. Here I'll distribute this 7, and I get a 7x plus 7h. And then at the end is my plus 5. And there's no like terms on this. So that is all f of x plus h. So I'm going to plug it into my formula. Then we'll subtract f of x, which is 7x squared plus 7x plus 5. All over my h. Now, y'all, you do realize that every single time whatever's in the second parentheses is going to cancel, right?
Yeah.
So technically, if you didn't want to have to write all this again, at this point, you could cancel the 7x squared with the 7x squared, 7x with the 7x, and then the 5 with 5. but I'm going to go on and distribute it for you. So 7x squared plus 14hx plus 7h squared plus 7x plus 7h plus 5 minus 7x squared minus 7x and then
Oh,
minus that 5 all over my h. But y'all ain't gonna lie. If I was doing this by hand, I'd probably cancel here, 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 here. And all that's left will be the h stuff again, right?
mhm.
So let's see. Cancel those. Where'd it go? 7x is right there. And then the 5s. So y'all, you're going to have a 14hx plus a 7h squared plus a 7h all over h. So my
This is
question
this is where I got it wrong on the homework somewhere.
So you do the 14x
so 14x. So
plus
that one h
7h
cancels. And then what'd you just say, Katie?
plus 7h.
7h, two h's, one cancel, leaving me
So one
one h
cancels. And then plus 7.
plus 7. So the single h's are going to cancel out on those two terms. And then here, remember, treat that like an h and a h. And one cancels, leaving you with the one h. So basically, remove one h from everybody on top and get that final answer. All righty, y'all. So guess what? That is test 2.
When do I have to do the test 5?
Woohoo.
So test 2 is open, but y'all remember, do your review first. Do the review so you can get used to putting these answers in.
Yeah.
I would probably do the review until I at least got a 70.
Oh wow.
Hopefully, right?
Look, right now, look, I'm like 70. I must be hard on myself because I have to make a 90.
Yeah, I have to make a
Oh, so the
95.
better you want to do,
I'll
the
be like,
better
I'm
you want to.
Me too.
No, I want you all to be hard on yourself, but I got some people that slack and they don't even do the review. So
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
I'd be
my
like,
bad.
please at least get a 70, because then you're going to knock out the test. And if you're waiting and getting like 80s and 90s on the review, you're making A's on my test, apparently.
Don't be
Right, y'all.
jinxing us like that.
Now remember, test 2 is due by Sunday night at midnight.
Okay.
Now, Wednesday, we're going to start 8-1 and 8-2 material, but it's not too bad because I don't want you to get overwhelmed before you do the test. But yeah, so
What is it?
say again.
What is 8.1 going to be?
It's going to be finding we're going to look at the end behavior of graphs and stuff.
Okay.
So I'm going to make y'all we'll make a little chart that we use. And we're going to look at end behavior. And end behavior is like what's happening to the graphs as the numbers go toward infinity and negative infinity. So it won't be bad. So the 9th, though, focused on that study guide, okay?
All right.
And if you knock that study guide out, knock that test on out early, and then you won't have to worry about the test, and we can just do the new material, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, y'all. So let me remind y'all, have y'all been registering for your classes?
No, I haven't registered yet.
Not yet either.
So y'all should be able to have access to registering now. Now don't wait too long because the good classes might get taken that y'all are wanting, okay?
This is my last math class I need, so I'll be good.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, I think this is mine last one too.
what major?
I'm going in for the diagnostic medical sonography.
Okay.
Because once I finish my prerequisites, then I'm transferring to UAMS.
Okay. Yeah,
my
they'll
own.
have more specialized type classes for you to take.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking, I'm like Katie, I'm going to UAMS. I'm thinking we finna do so it probably not gonna be no more math for me either.
What are
I
you
don't
doing?
know though.
What class are you do? What's your major, Diamond?
Science,
I mean,
but it's
what are you going to do at UAMS?
dental hygienist.
Okay, so yeah, I think this is all you'll have to take is college algebra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you won't have to do no stats and trig and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
Okay.
only ones that got to worry about math is usually my RN nurses. If they're going for like a BSN, sometimes they got to take
Mhm.
statistics. And then
Yeah,
if I got
unfortunately, I'm a
Man,
part of that.
so you'll take
I didn't even think
statistics.
about that.
And if some of y'all are doing technical studies like pre-engineering and stuff, y'all might have to take trigonometry and classes like that. So
Yeah, after this semester, I have to take mostly like biology and chemistry classes.
right,
'Cause
yeah.
I just needed 2
It's going
years,
to be
2
stuff more
semesters in
related
it.
to the
Yeah.
body. Like
I
Amani,
might see you in class next semester. Katie?
You might.
Amani, you're going to be taking chemistry,
Yes.
A&P, microbiology, all them fun
Yes,
classes,
all of that fun stuff.
Yeah,
all
that's what I
them
have to do
labs.
too.
I might be changing my major.
I heard that.
Me too. Now I might become a teacher or something. I don't know.
Oh, they need more nurses and stuff out there. So y'all do what y'all's heart wants. All righty, y'all. So practice your study guide and have fun. And that's all I got tonight. So I guess I will see y'all on Wednesday night.
Alrighty.
Have a
Thank
good
Yeah,
night.
thank you.
All right, y'all
night.
have a
Good
good night.
night.
you.
Good night, everyone.
And I'll have this sent out as soon as I get it uploaded.